Hi everyone, it's Holly and I'm here with a book review of Rusty Nailed by Alice Clayton. I reviewed Wallbanger right after I read it and I felt like I should review this as well because I loved it and I'm trying to talk about romance more on this channel. So, let's go. First of all, it got 5 stars. It was amazing. It was fantastic. I loved it. This is the sequel to Wallbanger. It follows Caroline and Simon again. I don't think it's like a spoiler that they ended up together at the end of Wallbanger because it's a romance novel. But I will give you a synopsis. If you don't want to know, then don't watch this video, but I really feel like even if you haven't read Wallbanger, I don't think this really spoils anything important. So basically, this book takes place about a year in the future. They're together, they're a couple, they're still living apart and kind of enjoying couplehood. They have some issues, but like all couples, but they're just living life. And then Caroline, her boss, goes on an extended honeymoon, so she ends up taking on added responsibilities at the design company, and she also ends up house sitting for her boss, and that means that she and Simon are like playing house. That, in addition to Simon going home for a high school reunion, kind of changes Simon's perspective on life, and he starts canceling photo shoots and starts spending more time at home and seems to kind of want something different out of life than what he had previously said he wanted. And they both have to deal with this as a couple, what this means. Can they grow together as a couple? Or does this mean that it's over, basically? I really, really, really liked this book. I love that it takes place like an extended period in the future. Like, it doesn't just pick up right after the last book. Actually, it's interesting. There's a prologue that's basically like chunks of time, basically since the last book ended, which I really like, so you kind of get this like brief overlook. They're not all happy scenes, but just a look into their relationship. And I also like that they had like a really honest and real relationship. They do have problems, they do have fights, that happens, but in general, you get to see them dealing with those issues, whether that's for the better or for the worse. They both have negatives in that, and they both have positives. I felt like both of the characters also grew a lot. I think the first book is a lot about Simon kind of growing in a way, but in here you get to see Caroline grow and struggle with what she wants out of life and kind of come to terms with those things, and you get to see her growth just as much as Simon continues to grow, and that in turn makes their relationship change and their relationship grow. And I think that's really, really good. I feel like a lot of times you don't get that out of a romance novel, either because we don't get to see this part of the story, or because when we do see this part, we just like gloss over the fact that as you age and as you grow and as your life changes, you want different things, and that impacts what it means to be a couple. Clive. I said I loved Clive in Wallbanger, and I did. I loved him. He was awesome. But in this book, oh my gosh, Clive and Simon have like the best bromance ever. Them together, the scenes where Clive and Simon are together, I love it. It's so good, and it's such an interesting, like, I feel like it's a storytelling technique. Like, the way Simon interacts with this cat shows a lot about his personality and shows how he's coming into Caroline's life. So it's important. It's not just there for like comedic relief, in my opinion. I would definitely say I feel like this book is more emotional than the previous one, but that could just also be me personally. I tend to be more like triggered emotionally. Like, I did cry in this book. I tend to be triggered more when couples have issues. So very rarely does a romance novel make me cry. When it does, it's usually something like this, where you have an existing couple and they face struggles, because that just hits my heart in a way differently than when they're still coming together. I don't know, it's just, for me, that's more emotional. But I don't think it was overly emotional. It didn't detract or anything. It was just slightly different tone than the first book. It does, I would say there's like a little bit of issues. My main thing is that the huge like conflict in this book, it gets resolved, and it's resolved satisfactorily in my opinion, but I feel like we, the viewer, didn't, or we, the reader, didn't get to see all of that resolution. I would have just liked a little bit more description, just a little bit more out of Simon and Caroline in that respect. However, it looks like there's going to be a third book in the series coming out in January, and that kind of changes my perspective on that. And that book, I believe, is called Last Call. There is 2 more books after this, though, that are like spin-offs. There is Screwdriver, which comes out on September 2nd. That is about Viv, who was friends with Simon in high school, and you meet her in this book. She moves to California, and it's her story, and so I'm hoping we get to see these 2 just occasionally in there. And then there is another book coming out in December called My Tied Up, and I would assume that those are characters that we're going to meet in Screwdriver, but I don't know. So all of that being said, I thought it was a fantastic book, but I do like Wallbanger just a little bit more, but I'm so excited for Screwdriver just so I can be in Alice Clayton's head some more, and for the 3rd book in this series to come out in January so that I can just like spend time with these 2 characters again. I really, really like them. If you haven't read Wallbanger yet, please go read it. I feel like this wasn't the best review, but I wanted to, like, done review, but I really wanted to review this since I had reviewed Wallbanger. If you've read either of these or any other Alice Clayton book, you can feel free to talk about it in the comments, or if you know anything that's similar, pretty sure I said this is my Wallbanger review, let me know because I really liked these. So thanks for watching. Bye!